Good morning, good afternoon to everybody for wherever you are. This is Declan Kavanagh from the Coming Home to You network, and I'm with the impeccable Dawn Overstreet, who is the founder of Kindred Spirits Gatherers. So, Dawn, tell me, what made you, or why did you form your group?
Oh, well, that was Kindred Spirits has always been a nickname of mine.
Okay,
Yeah, my youngest daughter gave that to me when when she was about 12. And I never thought very much about it until it was time to form a group. So I was pondering internally, kind of how do I feel about what I want my group to feel like. And my dream as a young child was to have friends all over the world, whether I was right there with them or not. And believe it or not, that's been happening every year of my life. So
beautiful.
it was easy to come up with where kindred spirits gather so that I could kind of embrace that dream and embrace that um, nickname that was given to me out of a lot of love, I'm sure, because it just came out of her. So that's how it got its name.
Yeah, I find that there's so many people nowadays looking for their tribe, or looking for people or for groups that they resonate with, that fulfills them. There seems to be a big gap there. We're in a time of everything is changing and everything's up in the air, and people are starting to form little communities of themselves, and hence your beautiful group. The it, I suppose the word spirit in there. When you talk about kindred spirits, are you talking about people who are alive or people who've already passed over also?
Well, it could be about both, but I'm geared towards those people who still have physical bodies and are still touring our planet Earth and, engaging in their purpose or plan this lifetime. And certainly, hopefully, having a lot of fun doing it. And going back to what you just said before about the kindred spirit thing. One of the things that is like the foundation for me for that group in creating it was to acknowledge that there is something that ties us all together, and that is that energy. And that by, forming a community of people who really want to know more about that, who want to experience that at a deeper level, then that group is there and it's available to them because that's what I look for myself on a daily basis is to make my decisions on interviews or whatever I'm involved with on whether or not, that kindred spirit energy is
Yeah.
involved in those decisions.
Yeah, it's Napoleon Hill liked a lot with spirit. He brought spirit into a lot of things. I know for example, when I was working on cruise ships, any sort of difficult issue that I had, or challenge that I had the following day, I used to have like what would you call like a mastermind with different spirits who would be familiar in those areas. And I would have like a little meeting in my own head, I'd ask these people, what would you do, or how would I get over such a challenge? And it was great, and it worked. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, boom, I'd wake up, clear as a bell, and with the solution right there in front of me. So it was just that was on thought of my mind when I saw kindred spirits. That was the one thing.
That's
Um,
right.
you know,
It's funny that you're saying that because I call that same thing that you experience as my board of directors.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because one of the things that I do in working with people is to help them consciously understand that they came here with angels, archetype, I don't care what people call them,
yeah,
some higher source that they may work with. But I call my angels my board of directors. And
yeah.
they have specific experiences in their life when they have physical bodies and graduated from planet Earth because they accomplished what they came here to do. And when I contracted with them, they already knew, like you're saying, what it was I was going to be here to accomplish. So their specific experiences really helped me. Like I can go to this one or that one, depending on the wisdom I need to be shared with me. Also understanding that the bottom line, it's always my decision which way I go. But when I listen, I'm always in the right place at the right time and
Brilliant.
always making the best decisions. And I'm sure you understand that.
Absolutely. It's something that I find a lot of people, if you mention spirits, they go, ooh, ooh, get all the scary sort of stuff. And it's like we're all spirit, we're all part of spirit. We're spirit encompassed in this body. But we also, like you said, we have angels, guardian angels, we have these spirit people around us, people who are in family or generational. They're all there watching over us. And people sort of forget that and they sort of lost touch with the fact that we're surrounded by spirit. Spirit is everywhere. And when we create with spirit, how better everything is and how we bring spirit more into our life in everything that we do. I think, and it's nice to see that you formed a group around that and it's helping people to understand and connect more with their spirit and to know that we're not alone, that there's help out there, that there's spirit there who's waiting to work with us.
Exactly. And I feel like, and what you are sharing is exactly what I do on a daily basis when I work with people, is that I recognize and accept that people are at all different levels of growth and state of consciousness and, that kind of thing. But we bring with us a lot of things that we really need to refine or undo so that we can replace it with something that's more in keeping with who we really are. And when I was able to do that for myself, then I began to feel that inner security that began to build inside of me to trust those angels or inner guidance, whatever one calls it. Um, to be able to make really, really good decisions for myself. So people that I work with bring me a lot of what I call things that they did not iron out or figure out or discover in cycles of their life. And once they entertain taking a look at that in a more positive way instead of such a tragic way.
Yeah,
Oh, it's awful, it was this, it was that, because I had to do that for myself. And when I did that, I began to realize that I wasn't in that situation for nothing.
yeah,
If I came here with a plan or a purpose this lifetime, then that was significant in the, you know, kind of rebirth of who I am today because I had to look at it. I had to heal those things that influenced me. I had to go beyond the limitations that were set on me because all of those affect us spiritually, not so much physically. They affect me spiritually. And then they hinder me when it comes to the physical motivation or drive inside to, go beyond all of that. So I love working with people on those things because I know there's little itches, along the way that people just kind of scratch and wait till it appears again. But those itches have to go away before we can fully feel the beauty of just living life. It was really funny when you were just talking. The first kind of phrase that came into my mind was, what a wonderful world. And I know that many times in my life I didn't feel that way. But when I see myself as one of the spiritual forces making an abundant change on the state of consciousness of planet Earth, I can feel very fulfilled inside as far as what I do daily.
absolutely. That makes a big difference. And like you said, it's all about perception. It's only trauma if we think it's so. Um, if we like that, everything is in divine order, everything is here for a reason. We mightn't like it at the time, but know that there's a silver lining there. All we do is just to flip it on the side. It's like life is a balance, with its duality. And so if it's down here, we just need to move the dial up a little bit further to the other side. It's great that you're talking about this. I find that I have found that a lot of people don't seem to be too aware of it nowadays. And it's sad, really. If they knew more, if they relaxed more, that instead of getting all caught up in it, is to look for the silver lining of saying, what's the lesson here? What do I need to change, let go of, be more of? And it changes it. It's all frequency.
Well,
So
one of the things that I understand, is that the energy of planet Earth has changed a lot over the
mm,
years. And, there is more fear and anxiety being projected into our environment. So if we have even one little weak spot in
yeah,
our buffer zone, in our energy, from our past, then we'll tend to grab a hold of that, because we believe that that's true for us.
yeah,
And the reality is that for people like myself and yourself and other people that do this kind of work, is the most important time in our life because it's so needed to help people to get to that point that you've just been talking about.
yeah,
So, yeah, I could give up, and say, oh, there's so many people out there and, they're never going to change. They're never. But the reality is that's not true,
mm,
because everybody changes in their timing. And there's been
exactly.
so, a few times in my life where I was negligent of what I was feeling. And I pushed myself into that stressful situation where I was made to make a better decision in my life and to realize that there was more than what I was experiencing in that moment. So for me, I have a lot of empathy for the energy because it's been created out of not so good motives.
Yeah,
But the main thing is that people need to work from the internal motives and standards and value that they have, that they want to create for themselves, because we're all little worlds. We're
exactly.
all pieces of that bigger puzzle that come together and make a commitment to make our world a better place.
Mm. And like you're saying too, when we go into a dark room, we turn on the light, the darkness disappears.
Yep, exactly, exactly. And I can throw the seed, by communicating, and I can listen and, observe and offer suggestions, as my guidance is always done with me, but I cannot impose on anyone.
No,
Hopefully, the sincerity that I have and live with, within myself. And this is the way it's been for me all of my life, is just by being myself and, staying in my relaxed, calm thing that I've grown into. And people always ask me, how do you do that? And they open that door for me to tell them how I have done that for myself. And there can't be a better way than to allow people to have an opportunity to do that for themselves.
brilliant.
Because I'm not
That's
perfect.
no. Well, I suppose who's perfect and
Well, I
who
keep
said,
saying, I say I'm as perfect as I am today.
yeah.
I have a lot of wisdom from my experiences to share with people who came to work with me. Not everybody did, just certain kinds of people. The kind of people that work with me are the people who are so tired of the confusion
Hmm.
that they want solutions. And I'm there to help them to find those solutions for themselves.
That's it. And like you said, we draw to us the people that we can help. And I suppose we all need help once in a while. What is there some sort of activity that you do, or some protocol that you do to keep you plugged in, to keep you connected to spirit, let's say.
Well, yes, I am affiliated with a college. I do a lot of seminars. I instruct a lot of courses. I am a consultant and coach with the college that I work with. And on a daily basis, one of my practice, well, actually, it starts the day before. One of my daily practices spiritually is to understand what it is that I want to accomplish for myself personally. And by doing that, then the reality of it manifesting itself in the physical world becomes such a delight because opportunities just appear. There's no hard work. I remember my mentor saying that one time when I went to a conference that he was doing, and he looked right at me before I even opened my mouth and said, "There's nothing hard here." And that really started my journey of realizing that life is really simple. It all starts with me and what I need, what I want spiritually. And then that begins to manifest itself. People used to say to me, "How do you stop doing one job and move on to the other?" And I look at them and I'm like, well, because I outgrow things.
Yep.
Simply, I outgrow things. I came here to grow spiritually. And if I stay in a situation when I know I've outgrown it and I have all the tools that I could possibly have gained from that opportunity, then I'm just going to be in limbo and I wouldn't be good to myself. And I certainly wouldn't be able to provide good service to other people. So I'm a firm believer that everything is an inner journey and it will manifest itself in the outer world as long as I know what I need and what I want. And
Brilliant,
defining
great
that
wisdom.
is really important.
Yeah. I find that with a lot of people, that's a big problem for them is knowing what they want. Especially like from some religions. I'm was brought up a Catholic, and we were encouraged not to want, and it was all about dumbing things down rather than being expansive and allowing things in. So there's a lot of conditioning that people have had that they need to get over to allow themselves to allow it in. Is there any sort of books or tapes that you would listen to on a regular basis?
Oh, well, one of my favorite books in the whole world is called Man in the Universe.
Mm,
And that's something that an individual can order from the college that I work with, or they can order it directly from me. I'm also a distributor. And what it does is it gives people a huge, big picture of how they fit as energy in a physical world, having a plan, how we can mutter that up, how we can feel one with religion, how we fit in society, why we have rules and regulations, how we have a journey that goes through cycles of our life, and we're accomplishing certain things within those cycles, and how important it is to do that so we don't carry that along like baggage that we don't need anymore. That we have an intercommunication system. That's what makes each of us unique and our experiences in life unique. Not that we're not doing the same thing, but it's our experiences that bring the wisdom that I have, or you have, or anyone has to share with other people. And then it gives a big overview of what it is that we're here to accomplish before we graduate from planet Earth, and how there are different states of consciousness on planet Earth. And those states of consciousness affect us on a daily basis. We can be in balance, which means that we have a thought for every feeling and a feeling for every thought, or we're being in an out of balance intellectual state. We can be analyzing, dissecting, and trying to prove everything to people. Or we can be too much into our feeling nature, which makes us feel like we need to be overly productive and play special roles in society. But in balance, we begin to understand that that's what we came here to do, is to find that sense of balance on a universal level when it comes to working with ourselves and other people. And
That
I'll be
sounds like
sure
a
to put that in the comments.
dude. That's because
So
that
if
sounds
people
like
are
a that
interested
sounds
in it,
yeah, that sounds like a great book, and I think
it's
it's something
awesome.
that everybody should be reading. Yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
please do. I'd be interested in getting a copy of it. So,
Okay.
so definitely, I'll order one from you. Uh, the I was going to say, how do you relax? Well, I think you sort of relax in spirit.
It's funny that you're asking me that because when I was 28 years old and before that, I was not very relaxed. I was sharing with somebody else the other day that I described myself as an elastic band that was about ready to pop
Mm,
because I was involved in so many things. That's that out of balance, being overly productive, doing for everybody kind of thing. And it was really tearing me apart because I didn't feel my priorities were, in front of me. I felt like everything but what I needed and wanted was being taken care of. So when I got involved with the college at 28 years old, that's where my real search started. Not that I haven't been involved in all kinds of spiritual stuff. It's just that I didn't take too highly that there is a guru that's here to tell me how to live life. I wanted to know how to do it because I've always been an entrepreneur. And when I heard my first seminar, I said, I need to go out and share this with people because it helped me to pull the picture of my life together in an hour.
brilliant.
And it helped me to see myself as a soul and as energy and how that has been affecting my life, the people I was associated with, and how I wanted to do that better for me.
Mm,
And I started actively, taking courses and being involved in workshops and things until the point, and I also got my consultation to learn how to consciously work with my angels and to understand what they came here to help me with. And I just started feeling more relaxed the more I worked with them on my decisions. I
lovely.
felt like I was truly working with a board of directors, and I've been on many board of directors in my lifetime so far. But this one was unique because this board of directors wasn't trying to impose on me, tell me what to do, discourage me, or any of those things. So over my lifetime so far, I have been able to maintain that sense of calm within myself because I know I have a genuine pivot point, and that is myself. So that I always come back to me before I go out there.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Could you talk more about the board of directors? How our listeners might be able, because this I'm sure this is probably a new concept for most of our listeners. So they might think, what are you talking about board of directors? Who's you talking about? Maybe you'd
It,
like to describe that how people can initiate their own board of directors, their own group of angels, their own guidance.
sure. Well, I'd like to say one of my favorite people in the whole world who passed on, he was from Ireland, and he had a very unique story behind coming from Ireland to the United States. But one of the things I always loved about him was sitting out on his front porch, drinking a whiskey sour because he loved them, and I learned to love them too, and talking about angels.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I have such a wonderful neighbor. But how people can do that, because I think everybody recognizes somewhere along the line that angels exist or inner guidance. Different cultures had different names for them,
Mm,
architects, all kinds of and we all have hunches, we all have impressions, we all have an inner knowing about things, and we all have visions. Now, some of us have them at different degrees. It's because we all communicate very differently. But to learn all about that and the angels, that a person came here to work with, because if you're an Einstein, you don't need but one or two, because they came to work with things, not people.
Mm.
But if you have really came here to work with people, you have more angels. And the reason for that, and I know you know this, and I learned this, is that it takes so much more energy to work with people. Because you're not just working with them, you're working with their energy, you're working with their angels, you're working with a tremendous amount of energy. So I do a consultation that takes an hour. And it is like a little blueprint of not only what is your intercommunication system, how you can work with that more practically, but how many angels you came here this lifetime, their last incarnation, whether they were male or female, which quite often defines how we appear in the public, more aggressive, more feminine, less whatever, and where they'll communicate with us on our physical body, because a lot of people will experience chills when they're very comfortable or calm or watching a great movie, or, that they will experience chills or a sense of calm that come over them. And then I go into an individual's work as energy, how much they develop that sensitivity, and how much of it works for them, how much of it works against them, whether they have what I call outside pressures, energies that no longer have physical bodies that may be influencing the individual at any particular time. And then we pull that all together so that the individual has a practical tool. And just as a reminder, or letting people have a little bit bigger picture of that, I don't do this. I am a soul and I have a physical body. What I do is I work with an individual's angels, and they communicate with my angels who communicate with me and put that information down on that sheet the individuals get, so that they can begin to work with their angels on a more consistent basis and begin to see the wisdom and the knowledge that they bring to them.
Lovely. You're definitely opening up a lot of doors there that I'm sure people that listen know that they're really getting very eager now to reach out to you. We're coming up to the half hour.
Uh-huh.
So is there anything that you'd like to leave our listeners with? Any one little nugget, or one little word of advice, um or a little healing prayer?
Yeah, I think that the thing that came to me a few minutes before I got together with you is what a great world we live in. And we can make that a better place by realizing we have been gifted at birth with some of the most unique gifts of spirit that we could ever possibly have. We have been delegated the ability to help people heal themselves. And I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to you for allowing me to come on and chat with you. It's been a wonderful experience for me.
My pleasure. That's absolutely wonderful. The there's so much there, we could talk all night, but unfortunately we gotta leave it to go. So everybody, you've been watching Dawn Overstreet, Where Kindred Spirits Gather. Her links will be underneath the in the comments. So please call out to her if this resonates with you, because I'm sure this is information that we all need to be remembered of. We all need to know that we're not here alone, that there is help there for us. So reach out to Dawn, ask her for that book that she made reference to. Sounds wonderful. So we'll have all of the links underneath after the show. So thank you once again, Dawn. It was my pleasure. You're such a wonderful person, and you're bringing such wonderful information, reminding people that they are spirit incarnated in this body, and that it's a beautiful world that we live in, and that we can have an active role in it and make it even better. So, Don, thank you.